Hello, second grade Smarties, and welcome to Lesson 18 in our reading module, A Season of Change. So today we are going to be doing two things. We're going to be talking about what is the main lesson or the central message that we can learn from A Color of His Own. And we're also going to be starting our writing task for how does the chameleon change? So we are going to be answering this question today. How does the chameleon change? And we will get to that in just a little bit. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what is the central message or lesson that we can learn from the story. Remember, the main lesson is what can we keep in our hearts and our minds to help us in our lives? So to help us when we're at school, when we're at home, when we're at a restaurant or at the park, what is something that we can learn and take away to help us when we're outside of school? So, when we are thinking about the chameleon, we can also kind of think about what we learned from the little yellow leaf, right? In the little yellow leaf, we learned that the little yellow leaf was not ready to leave the great oak tree. In the beginning and middle, we learn that he's alone. But what happens at the end that helps him solve his problem of not being ready? He meets a friend. He meets the little scarlet leaf, and they leave the tree together. So we read that story last week. This week we have been reading A Color of His Own, and it's about a chameleon that just wants one color that is special to him. So his problem is that he does not have a color of his own, right? What did the chameleon learn from this story? So think about the beginning. Think about when he tried to find a color of his own. What did he learn when he tried to stay on that green leaf? What happened when he tried to stay on that green leaf? What did he learn from that? Tell me in the ed puzzle. He learned that he couldn't have just one color, especially with the seasons that were changing, right? So he was on that green leaf, and then when autumn came, it changed to yellow, and then it turned red, and then winter came. Was he able to solve his problem on his own? No. So after he had tried to solve that problem, what happened? So after winter came spring in the story. So during the winter, his color was black because he didn't have anything to get color from, right? It was long, dark in the winter, and so his color stayed black. But in the spring, what happened? He met another chameleon, right? And what did he learn from his new friend, the wise old chameleon? What did he learn? Tell me in the ed puzzle. He learned that he didn't have to be alone, right? Remember on this page, it says, "I'm afraid not," said the other chameleon, who was older and wiser. "But," he added, "why don't we stay together? We will still change color wherever we go, but you and I will always be alike." And so they remained side by side. They were green together, and purple, and yellow, and red with white polka dots. And they lived happily ever after. So, what did the chameleon that just wanted a color that was special to him, what did he learn at the end of the story? He learned that he didn't have to be alone, right? Even though he couldn't stay as one color, he could change colors with a friend. So he met that wise old chameleon, and he was able to have a special relationship. He was able to have a special color with that friend because they were alike. So when we're thinking about us because we're humans, we don't change colors like chameleons do. What can we learn from this story? We learn from the little yellow leaf. Sometimes it's better to have friends and not do things alone. Sometimes friends help us do challenging new things. We also learn from the chameleon that change is sometimes hard. Sometimes it's hard for us to change, and sometimes we don't want change, but change is better when we have a friend. So, how can we take this lesson and use it when we're at home, or maybe when we are at the park with some friends, or even when we are at school, or maybe you go to church, or maybe you go to the pool or the rec center? Maybe you go to a family member's house and you see cousins and you see friends that you don't get to see a lot. Let's say that you are going through some changes. Let's say that you moved to a new place and you didn't know anybody. And in this new place, people looked different from you. They might dress differently, they might act differently. And so it's hard to get used to those changes. What is something that might help you if you're going through some hard changes? Finding a friend, right? Finding a friend that you might have things in common with, like the chameleons, or maybe finding a friend that can help you go through those hard changes, or maybe you can be a friend to help someone that's going through some changes. So, what is something that you can do when changes happen? What lesson have we learned from the chameleon? Changes are easier when we have a friend, right? So let's see if you're listening, okay? In the Ed Puzzle, I want you to tell me, what is something you learned that is the main lesson of the story? What's something that you can keep in your heart and mind from the chameleons? I can't wait to see your answers. All right, we're going to move right along. So, as we move into our writing activity, I want you to keep that lesson in your head. Sometimes changes are hard, but changes are easier when we have a friend that can do it with us. So today in Seesaw, again, I'm going to say that in Seesaw, you're going to get a video from Miss Mason explaining what you're going to do for your writing activity. So we are focusing on answering this question: how does the chameleon change? Okay, so we're going to have a topic statement, and I already got it started for you. The chameleon changed when he met a friend, right? We talked about that yesterday. The chameleon changed when he met a friend. And then you're going to give me 3 details on how the chameleon changed. So you're going to tell me what happened at the beginning with the chameleon. What did he try to do? He tried to find a color of his own all alone. What happened in the middle? Then, first, he tried to find a color of his own. Then, what happened in the middle after he couldn't find a color of his own? He met the wise old chameleon. Then, he met another chameleon. Finally, what did they do at the end? Finally, the chameleons stayed together. So that was our whole writing. Miss Mason just told you all of it. Okay. So as you are writing, we can use a mental checklist to help us with making sure that we are doing our very best second grade writing. Okay. So this was a information writing checklist, and it talks about the little yellow leaf, but we can use this for any information writing. So, reading comprehension is using what we know from the story. So, as you're writing, you want to think, do I understand how the chameleon changes? In my writing, can I show how the chameleon changes? Can I say what happened first? What happened in the middle? And what happened at the end? And do they all talk about how the chameleon changed? So when you're writing, you want to make sure that your writing is all about one topic. And you start with your writing with that topic statement. Remember, that's that top bun of our hamburger. And it lets us know everything we're going to talk about at the very beginning. So we introduce with that topic sentence, that top bun. In the middle, we want to make sure that we have 3 sentences with evidence. Those are those juicy details that match what we talk about in that top bun. And when we're writing, we want to use sequence words like first, then, and finally in order. So we don't want to talk about what happens at the end when we say first. We want to talk about what happened at the beginning when we use first. We want to talk about the middle when we start a sentence with then, and we want to talk about the end when we end something with finally. Okay, so after we've got all that writing done, we made sure that it's all about one thing. We made sure that we gave that top bun the 3 juicy details, and those 3 juicy details go in order and talk about the same thing. We want to make sure that we answered that question, that we didn't just talk about how the chameleon liked leaves, that he really liked having a friend. No, we talk about how the chameleon changes. Okay, and then with our writing, we can have some style with our writing. So we make sure that we use words that are about the topic. Who's our topic about? The chameleon. We're not going to talk about elephants and giraffes. No, we're going to make sure that our words are about our subject, the chameleon. We're going to make sure that we use describing words. So we could say the chameleon was sad because he didn't have a color of his own. We could say the sad chameleon met a wise old chameleon and they became friends. Okay, so when we are writing, we want to make sure that we stick to our topic, that we have that juicy hamburger that has that top sentence that tells us what we're writing about, those juicy details that answer what we did with our top bun, and then later we're going to be adding bottom buns, but for now we're just doing the top bun and our juicy middle. All right, second grade Smarties, that is it for our lesson today. Make sure that once you finish this ed puzzle that you go check out Seesaw for your writing activity. We are going to be typing our responses for our writing, but Miss Mason's going to do some writing to help you get your minds in focus about it. All right, second grade Smarties, remember to keep that growth mindset. Keep this writing checklist in your head as you're thinking about how does the chameleon change, and I will see you all very soon. Bye, guys.